Welcome back to the Wisdom Within. I'm Lara Jaye, and today we're diving into a conversation that many of us need but rarely have, and that is how trauma sneaks into our daily life without us even realizing it. So, in this episode, I'm going to share 9 sneaky examples of how trauma shows up in ways you might never have considered. From money struggles to constant distraction, these patterns can disguise themselves as even quirks or personality traits. But really, they are your nervous system asking for healing. So, if you've ever wondered why certain patterns keep repeating or why success doesn't feel as fulfilling as you thought it would, this conversation is for you. So, make sure you stay tuned to the end for the light language clearing that I always do at the end of the podcast to begin shifting your trauma patterns. For years, I didn't think trauma applied to me. I thought the word trauma and all of it was reserved for extreme events or other people's stories. So, meanwhile, I really was just caught in a lot of patterns myself of overachieving, people pleasing, and shutting down at the same time, thinking I was simply messed up or the not enough message. What I didn't know was that my own unprocessed trauma patterns quietly were shaping every single area of my life, relationships, health, everything. And every one of these 9 examples I'm giving today, I was operating from, plus even more. So, number one example of how trauma can show up without us even realizing is overachieving and burnout. So, you might think you're just ambitious or bad at resting, but often chronic overworking is rooted in trauma. So, maybe as a child, you only received love or safety when you achieved. Now your nervous system equates worthiness with productivity, and slowing down feels very unsafe. This can also be ancestral. If your lineage lived through war, migration, or poverty, and survival depended on constant working, that imprint in your body, in your DNA says rest is unsafe. You only belong if you produce. Number two, difficulty receiving love or support. So if you find yourself always giving, but feeling uncomfortable when others offer help, this could be trauma. Maybe you grew up in an environment where needs, and specifically your needs, were ignored. So your system learned to survive by being hyper independent. It shows up today as I don't need anybody, even though deep down you crave support. Generations raised in environments of emotional neglect or abuse, they pass down these beliefs like it's not safe to need. This conditioning continues to live in our body until it's cleared. Number three, sabotaging healthy relationships. You might attract emotionally unavailable partners or sabotage intimacy once someone gets close. On the surface, it looks like bad luck in love, but underneath it's unprocessed trauma. And if your ancestors endured betrayal, abandonment, or loss, your nervous system again may have inherited the belief that closeness is dangerous. Number four, people pleasing and boundary struggles. Many think they are just kind or accommodating, but often it's really drama. If as a child you learned that keeping the peace prevented conflict, it did for me, you may now silence yourself, avoiding saying no or feeling guilty when you prioritize your needs. Lineages shaped by oppression, colonization, or strict structural hierarchies, they teach silence as survival. And that unspoken rule echoes forward in our bodies, in our DNA. Number five, hypervigilance in everyday situations. always scanning the environment, anxious in traffic, startled by noises. These aren't quirks. They're signs of a nervous system conditioned by trauma to stay on high alert for danger even when none is present. So if your lineage endured war, displacement, or persecution, your body may carry always be on alert energy, even if you have a very stable life now. Number six, money patterns. Maybe you make good money, but constantly feel it's never enough. Or maybe you overspend when you're stressed. Financial struggles can be linked to inherited trauma, like ancestors living in scarcity, or personal experiences where money was tied to conflict, shame, or instability. Number seven, chronic health issues. Unresolved trauma often lives in the body. Depression, digestive problems, autoimmune flare ups, fatigue, even chronic pain can be signals of an unprocessed emotional energy the body has stored for years. Epigenetics shows trauma literally changes the DNA expression. And number eight, struggling with rest or play. So if you feel guilty when you relax or restless when things are too good, it may actually be trauma. Your nervous system has equated safety with stress or chaos. Peace feels very unfamiliar, almost threatening. And if your ancestors had no room for joy, only survival, you may inherit this guilt when you pause, even if life is so abundant right now. And number nine, this is a biggie, needing constant distraction. So if you always need background noise on, the TV, music playing, scrolling on your phone, it might feel like you're just someone who doesn't like silence. But honestly, it's trauma. Stillness and quietness can bring up emotions that your body hasn't felt safe enough to process. So your nervous system seeks this constant distraction to numb or avoid what might surface in the quiet. Silence can surface not just your own unprocessed emotions, but buried grief or fear from your own lineage. Your system distracts to avoid touching those inherited wounds. Trauma doesn't always look like the big, obvious events we imagine. Sometimes it hides in the overwork, the people pleasing, the restless nights, or the distractions that we can't seem to put down. These patterns are not who you are, they're simply imprints. Imprints your nervous system has carried often for generations. And that's why clearing trauma is so powerful. When you heal, you're not just shifting your own patterns, you're breaking cycles and opening up space for those who came way before you and those who are going to come after. So now I invite you. I invite you to take a deep breath, open your heart, and receive. And as we move into this light language clearing, allow the sounds and the frequencies to bypass your mind and speak directly to your soul. Trust that whatever you are ready to release will lift, and whatever new blueprint you are ready to embody will begin to anchor in. This is your time to clear, calibrate, and create. Take a deep breath with me now and exhale. As you soften into this moment, imagine the patterns we've just explored. Overworking, hypervigilance, money, health issues. Imagine them all gathering like clouds ready to be lifted from your field. Light language is not meant for your mind to understand. It's for your soul to receive. These sacred sounds carry frequencies that clear what no longer serves. Calibrate your energy to a higher truth and create the blueprint of who you're becoming. So I invite you now to close your eyes, place a hand on your heart, and simply allow. Trust that your body, your lineage, and your soul know exactly what to do with this transmission. Cor aleto letorete de la baraleto de tiondo de la branda de la gadianda de yondo, la baranda la brada de yanda de yuto de la brada de yangalo, da la blanco, gele de la barango de yanda de yondo, la brashele calama. Core de yanda de yanda de yingo, shele pelo calamelto de la pelikiama. Kalimute. Kaleto gelete da la baleondo gelito da manda nalo shilia palango jikan. Yeondo gelito la balodo gele blabari anda di yokore shele blabari anda de otu gele palamari anga. Leondo geleta da ando de yemo kore peluko gele palamari anda di yakoyo moama. Che yondo jele tale la barabariende di yunkure shelo to wam a do jele wamo de jele tale lo de jele tale de yanda di yangole de jele to wam leondo jele tale bokale bodo jele to ondare la karianda di yunkula barabarianda di yakodo shakwam che yoto jelo ren lo de jele tale kola mayanga che yondo jele to da marianda di yakolo to jele to yangale di yanda di yocha pawamakan Kalo doja le la barayanda de shele kwam. Leo doja le tola mon lepe, je le tola bonde, je le toa atika jawam. Keondo kaletio shoklawam, keo toda da wam, keo sulamam, keo toda wam. Very slowly come back into a body awareness.